to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Louis Trujillo,
Present.
Councilor David Romero, Councilor Barbara Casey, Councilor Michael Montoya,
Present.
Councilor David Ulibarri.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to real quick just thank again all the city employees for doing all the work that you do. It's much appreciated. Darlene, you can't retire. We're changing you to the city offices. I know the people in finance have been very, 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 very busy. And you're very much appreciated for all the work that you do. This is one of the first times we get the budget on time and we have time to look at it and everything. So it's much appreciated. And to everyone else, thank you for all your hard work and dedication to the city. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda.
There's a motion on the floor by Ms. Casey. Second, please. Second by Mr. Romero. Roll call, please.
Councilor Montoya,
Yes.
Councilor Ulibarri,
Yes.
Councilor Romero, Councilor Casey.
Yes.
A motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Romero. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to public input. We have no public input this morning. Moving on to mayor's appointments. Appointments to the Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning Commission. We have 3 individuals. The first one is Ms. Carrie Rodriguez, Mr. Andrew Salazar, and Mr. Oliver Lesbrunz. Mr. Mayor?
I'll entertain a motion to approve all 3 appointments.
The motion, Mr. Mayor?
There's a motion by Mr. Romero. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Ms. Casey. Roll call, please.
Councilor Ulibarri,
Yes.
Councilor Casey,
Yes.
Councilor Montoya,
Yes.
Councilor Romero.
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Romero, a second by Councilor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just a question on that is, where are we at as far as the total members of
There's
that board?
2, 3, 4. And this will be 5, 6.
So there's 2. One of them passed away, so we have a total of 5 now.
Okay. And then I have 2 more that were interested. So,
Mr. Mayor, out of those, how many are from Ward 2?
I don't have that right in front of me,
Okay.
but
Can
I
you please
can,
check into it?
yes, I
and
can
let
send
me
that
know?
to you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Moving on to approval of minutes for July 12th, 2023.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the minutes for July 12th, 2023. There was just one little typo and the rest were perfect.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor by Ms. Casey. Second, please.
Second, Mr. Mayor?
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Councilor Romero? Yes. Councilor Ulibarri? Councilor Casey?
Yes.
Councilor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Ulibarri. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to our business items. Our first item is request approval of resolution number 2321, the final quarter report for 2022-2023 for the submission to Department of Finance and Administration Local Government Division. We have our Finance Director, Tasha Martinez, and our Deputy, Mr. Chavez.
Thank you and welcome. And thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Mayor and council we're seeking approval of resolution number 2321 for the final quarter 2022-23 submission to DFA. And do you have any questions regarding this report?
Any questions, discussions?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Montoya?
Yes, Ms. Tasha, is there, well, Mayor and Council, I guess, is there a possibility that we can create a position and appropriate some funding to hire a recreation officer for at least 6 months to see if we can fill in some of these 52 vacancies that we have vacant?
Recreation officer?
Well, yeah, for recruiting, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Recruiting officer.
Recruiting officer.
I'm sorry, yes, a recruiting officer for the city of Las Vegas for a 6 months period, see what they can do about filling in these positions, advertising and so forth. Is there a possibility to do that within the budget?
If I may, we're on the fourth quarter right now, but we can discuss that whenever we.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, what we're presenting, I'm looking at for approval right now is just the fourth quarter reporting for the 23 fiscal year.
Okay.
So it's just the activity for that period.
So then that request can be on the next
Correct.
line item?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're
I'm sorry.
Thank you. It's okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the report.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Romero. Second, please.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Ms. Casey. Roll call, please.
Counselor Olivetti?
Yes.
Counselor Casey? Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Romero? I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 2, request approval of Resolution 2322 to adopt the final fiscal year 2023-24 budget for submission to DFA Local Government Division. Ms. Martinez?
So Mayor and Council, I'm seeking approval of resolution number 2322.
You might tap your microphone. Thank you.
Shall I say that again? And do you have any questions regarding the submitted budget?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Montoya?
Yeah, I guess is the appropriate time to ask if we can, if it's the direction of Mayor and Council to put aside some money in our budget for hiring a position, a recruiting officer for at least a 6-month period.
I was just looking at the budget earlier, and there's a couple of vacant positions that we could possibly assign someone to that, like the mayor's liaison. There's a $50,000 position there that's vacant. We could put that into good use.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take that as a direction. Is there any opposition?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Romero?
I guess another thing to look at is there's also recruitment companies that maybe that are, that might be a contract that we wouldn't have to be a hire and they get benefits and all that. That might be an option to look into.
Another company?
So, Mr. City Manager, can you make that happen?
Yes, sir. We are currently working with a company that is doing advertisement for our top 5 critical positions, but we can expand that. We can ask the current vendor to see if they can advertise for multiple positions or more positions and what that would cost the city. Yes, sir.
How long have you been working with that company?
I'd say now it's probably been about 4 or 5 months that we've advertised and that we have received some applications from the East Coast because of that for our community development positions. They just haven't panned out for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add to that, and I think it's more of not the advertising, but going to events, it's actually the actual recruitment, not just advertising.
Hiring
It's-
fairs,
yeah,
going to the
yeah.
university.
Having somebody, physically go to some places and actually recruit. I think that's probably what you're asking, Councilman. Thank you.
That's a good idea. Either way, we could use that position for that.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the budget? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I did have one
Mr. Romero?
question. Tasha, for the record, just from the draft budget till now, the final, can you kind of brief us on what the changes were? I know that we did have some recommendations. Me personally, I know I had asked for $5,000 to put towards for the youth commission. I don't know if that was.
I think, based on discussion, I think it's within the budget. I believe it's in the budget, so I'm sorry.
And then I know, you got the other counselors turned in their stuff. Was that reflective on this final budget?
Yes, that was included. And so the main adjustments to this budget from the interim is a reconciliation of cash. So our ending cash is now our beginning cash. And we did include $150,000 for two appropriations that were not included within the interim, which is for the Carnegie Library and
Library and the Riverwalk.
yes.
And then the other question that I had was pertaining to reflective on this budget here, the $14 an hour, I know we had discussed that, and that would take effect after we pass it here tonight, today?
Which is a council.
Okay. And then the other question, as far as the unions, those are still in negotiation, so none of that will change until that happens, is that?
That was my thought process. We are currently working with AFSCME, and we are just in the beginning stages of that. So I think it's best to bring those adjustments, if any, at a later point in time, and then do a budget adjustment if required.
Are we towards the end of that negotiations, or are we?
We just started.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
I'd
Montoya?
like to go ahead and make a motion to approve, request approval for Resolution 2322 to adapt fiscal year 23-24 budget to submittal for DFA Local Government Division.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Montoya. I'll entertain a second.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero? Counselor Olivari? Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, second by Counselor Olivari. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you. I'd just like to take a moment before you guys leave to, once again, thank you. You jumped in this, and Dominic, thank you for helping so much. And during a change like this, and you just jumping in, and now it's budget season, and but I also, I'm very grateful that we have this budget passed and going to DFA, and but I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Darlene for how many years of service? In an excellent employee. Someone that you never had to worry about. Nobody had to, she just came and did her work, and she does great work, and she's going to leave a big void in the finance department. But I always said the day I'm eligible to retire, I will retire the day before. And we held her back a while, and she was grateful to give us more time. And thank you, Darlene, for your dedication and your hard work. And Dominic, of course, thank you so much. We piggybacked on you, and you guys, you always came through for us, and you deserve the credit. And Tasha, you're very smart and intelligent, and this sort of, you made it seem like a breeze for you. And so once again, thank you. I know it takes a huge effort to get this done, and thank you to everybody.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Romero.
I know this is probably going to be the last time. Well, thank you, Darlene, first of all, again, on top of what the mayor's saying, for all your years of service and all that you've done, especially when we didn't have finance directors and, you guys, everybody in that department. Dominic has been able to step up, and I guess, Tasha, I'm going to go ahead and I don't know exactly when. I know you're leaving. I've heard it through. Didn't get official until I ran into you. I hadn't heard anything, but thank you for your time. I'll be the first to admit here. When we hired you, it was kind of, well, she's new. She's never been in this position. Will she be able to have that, have that separation of power in finance, and I think you've brought that, and I'll be the first to say thank you for your ethics and everything that you've done, because finance directors, and Dominic and you too, just are hard to find with those type of ethics that don't just let things slide and question, and that's what we need in government, because when you don't have that and you have a yes person in that seat, then it can become big, and we don't want that. So thank you, and wherever you go, I know they're going to be blessed to have you. So thank you, Tasha.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Montoya.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank our Finance Committee for keeping us accountable. I know they're in the background, but They're the ones that ask questions and make the recommendations to mayor and council. And also Tasha and Dominic, I want to thank you guys and Darlene as well. And your entire staff, it takes a team effort and it takes leadership. And I want to thank you for including us in all the budgets, decisions. And I know a lot of times it's real hard because all the budget adjustments that need to happen and so forth. And dealing with all of the departments, it's not an easy task at all. But I thank you for your service and for believing in this community and having your heart with this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Casey?
When Darlene first mentioned that she was thinking of leaving and retiring, normally I get phone calls every now and then from city staff, but I got numerous phone calls, and Darlene, I want you to know that everybody was like freaking out. Darlene's leaving! What are we gonna do? Oh my gosh! And so it was like, oh my goodness. And so it was heartwarming and distressing at the same time, but I wish you the very best at your retirement. I think you have a lot of respect from everyone here and everyone that you've worked with. Tasha, same thing. You had the personal strength and character to really get things straightened out that needed to be straightened out immediately. And I thank you for that. And Dominic, thank you so much for being there also. And you'll be very busy once Tasha leaves. I'll be super busy again. But Tasha, I wish you the very best in your future endeavors. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Ulibarri?
Well, guys, what can I say? Thank you for everything you do for the city. You did a very good job. Darlene, thank you for having you for 20, 30 years. I don't know how many years you've been here. Yeah. That's good. Thank you for all the work you do for our citizens, our council. You know, you guys are great, real professional people. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. She made it clear that she was going to stay as long as she could with the transition. Yeah, I talked to her and she said that she could do it.
Mr. Mayor, moving on to item number 3, request rejection of bid received for RFB 2023-23 for street and drainage improvements for Hot Springs Boulevard from Mills Avenue to Bernalillo Street. We have our Public Works Director, Arnold Lopez.
Welcome, Mr. Lopez.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. So we come today to ask you for approval to reject this bid. We opened this bid on 7/21, which was last Friday. The only bidder that submitted a bid was Desert Fox, and they bid almost $1.2 million. That bid came in way over budget, so at this point we are asking for permission to reject it. And then what our plans are, we're going out to DFA for additional budget monies. We're requesting, looked real positive that hopefully we will receive the additional funding needed. And then if not, we're gonna have the engineer kind of rescope the project and reduce the quantity of work. So it should bring us into budget.
Are there other construction companies? Are we having trouble with the number of construction companies that want to do business with Las Vegas or that are around?
No, this one being a CDBG, it's got a lot of federal requirements, a little more difficult. And I think that kind of discourages contractors because there is a lot of requirements, almost a little scary sometimes in those federal projects. But I've already reached out to some other contractors and letting them know that we're going to rebid this project. So
Good.
There's interest, and I'm hoping that they do submit.
Good. Mr. Merrill?
Arnold, CDBG is a 2-year cycle. Is it 2 years that we can apply again, or 2 years the project has to be done?
The project has to be completed before we can qualify for the next CDBG application.
So with that, this delay, how long are we looking at?
The delay, hopefully, if we get additional budget, we can move on right away to re-advertisement. And I'm hoping that we could get a contract within a month, okay? But if we have to rescope it a little bit, possibly it'll be like a 2-month loss in time. Because, rescoping, reducing the quantity of work, not redesigning, but probably reducing the scope of work, possibly 2-month maybe delay. So it shouldn't be a long time.
And CDBG starts, application process is November, is it somewhere in that? area?
I don't remember the exact time. Do you, Maria, remember when they start? No?
Just if we can, I know we have the project part, but there's also planning, so maybe we could go for some planning, I think up to 50,000 on that one, if we could look into that.
Possibly, I'll look into that.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montoya?
Yeah, Mr. Lopez, how much over was it on the bid?
So the bid was double the amount of budget.
Okay.
So for Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to reject the bid received for RFP 2023 for street drainage improvements at Hot Springs Boulevard and Mills Avenue to Bernalillo Street.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor by Montoya, second by Ms. Casey. Roll call, please.
Counselor Olivari?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, a second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next item, executive session.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to enter executive session under section 10-15-1H2, limited personnel matters.
There's a
Second.
motion on the floor by Mr. Romero, second by Ms. Casey. Roll call, please.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya? Counselor Casey? I have a motion by Counselor Romero, second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.